The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich. We are a podcast dedicated to giving a voice to the disability community. We do that by having those with a disability on to tell their stories and the organizations that provide programs, services, and support to the community. And we have them on to share what they do as well. So thank you. I am a polio survivor, crutch user for years, and then transferred into a wheelchair over the last 20 years or so. Hi, Addie.
Hi. I have cerebral palsy. I was born with it. A walker user primarily, now transitioning into wheelchair use full time.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. How was your week?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. We're sliding into the end of the year, which I don't know how that happens. Like, we already end up here, and I don't know what happened.
I'm getting ready for the Possibilities dinner that they have every year, just kind of a thank you dinner for all the participants and everybody that supports them in Loma Linda, California, with Loma Linda University Health. And so I do a lot of voices for their videos that they show that night and all that stuff. So and it just seems like that comes around. It feels like every 2 weeks. I've been doing it for closing in on 20 years or so. I've lost track, but yeah, I feel like about every 2 weeks I'm doing that. It feels like
So was that was the bulk of last week?
Say again.
That was the bulk of your last week?
That was some of it. I'm trying to think. We did the pantry on Tuesday because we moved it for an organization, but they never showed up, which is, I don't know.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know what happened there. There's nothing huge. My granddaughter came by yesterday. She is, I don't know. I don't think this is just grandpa talking, but she comes over and, she likes to draw and stuff. So I said, you want to draw? Yeah. So I get all the stuff out for her and all the colored pencils and all that. And she's left-handed. So I'm sitting on her left side, just kind of watching her. And I can't really see. I just see her hand moving around at this lightning pace. But I can't tell what she's drawing. And then she moves her hand and she's drawn a cat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what just happened? I mean, it took you seconds and you draw this with the little ears, perfect little ears, and at 5 years old. So
you're like, you have a Van Gogh.
So it'll be interesting to kind of see where it goes.
How it evolves.
So then she, colored them and all that stuff for me. So that was nice to have her over. Other than that, nothing, maybe it'll come to me later, but nothing worth mentioning really. We got Thanksgiving coming up, and we have some people to help us kind of celebrate. They're running. Maybe we should pardon them, huh?
Right. Yes, I think so.
So do you
it's up to us.
You have big Thanksgiving plans at this point, or?
No, I don't. And my husband doesn't really like turkey, and neither does his family. So we'll probably do beef because Argentina,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll get a turkey breast for myself because I can't do without it. But
now, do you like it year round or just like to have it for Thanksgiving?
I mean, I would eat it if you served it any time of year, but there's some nostalgia that comes with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes it, even if you don't love it, you love the nostalgia of it, so you eat it.
Yeah, that's me too. I mean, I'll have a turkey sandwich or something like that, but that's one time a year I have actual turkey, and then
turkey. Are you in charge, or are you going somewhere?
I'm going somewhere. My daughter and her family, they're going to her in-laws. So I got a friend and he'll invite me over when they're out of town. So I'm going over there. I made, this took me hours. I saw it on Instagram, all those things. You watch the little short videos and they go by in no time. But so this thing was like 30 seconds, and it just shows them putting like a jar of peanuts, a jar of cashews.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah, and I did it. And a bag of chocolate chips, a bag of peanut butter chips, and then a block of white chocolate and a block of dark chocolate. And you put that in the crock pot, let it all melt down. Takes about an hour until it gets all melted. You stir it up, and then you just plop them on wax paper, and they're good.
How'd it go?
Oh, they're good.
Was it good?
Yeah. So,
all right, I might have to do it. I, too, have seen that on Insta saved it, but have yet to do it.
Yes. I was telling a friend of mine, it was one I think I told you a few weeks ago. We rented a house with my brother and all his friends, college friends, and of course I say, what do you want me to bring? And they were all couples except for one other gal who was single as well. And I went to her and I said, because like each couple was responsible for, one was responsible for breakfast, one was responsible for dinner, and I'm like, so what can I bring? Oh, they say hot hamburger buns and hot dog buns. Okay, great. So I went to her and I said, there's this thing called single guy privilege. When you are invited somewhere and you say, what do you want to bring? It's inevitably chips and dips.
Yeah, I was going to say a bag of chips, 2 liters of soda.
That's about it. I just feel
tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I feel so horrible because I just like get off. They're doing a whole dinner, which has got to be expensive, right? So So I was telling her about that. So what I did is, yes, for Thanksgiving I'm bringing chips and dips, and that's what they want me to bring. So I made these extra to bring, kind of surprise them. So
nice. A
like
bonus.
Those.
You get a bonus treat because I don't want to be on the single guy sheet.
Plus, I got to show them I got some skills. I can toss
you got to be like, look what I can do off of Instagram.
I can toss a bunch of stuff in a crock pot and plop them
Instagram is the new cooking magazines.
That's right. Very, very good. And then also thank you to Raj Garg for sharing his journey and story with us. It's been a very popular episode so far. So, good to hear his story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode so we kind of grow the community here. Coming up today, we are going to talk about a new movie that has just recently come out. So we both watched it and enjoyed it very much. It's from Disney, and it includes themes of disability and inclusivity and accessibility, all those good things. Really good. We enjoyed it. So right after a word from Agyar Professional Training, we are going to dive into it. So a little mini spoiler alert here, and we'll do that a little bit more when we come back.
At Agyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Agyar is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Agyar Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live Disability Stories.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live. All right, first let's just start with a spoiler alert.
Yes. If you want to watch the movie without our 2 cents, pause us now and go take a look.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit before we started recording, but, it's not the kind of movie where there's a huge twist in it. You kind of, I think, have a pretty good idea where this kind of movie. It's like watching a Hallmark movie or
if you watch
Lifetime
the trailer,
movie and being surprised where it goes.
Yeah.
So, but just wanted to let you know we're going to talk about this new movie, and it just came out on Friday. It's called Out of My Mind, and it's based on a book by Sharon Draper. So, any thoughts you'd like to start with?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just so cute. And like you say, I mean, Hallmark is my jam this time of year. Well, Hallmark is my jam anyways. But, it is kind of that heartwarming, happy movie. But it touches on like real topics. Mm-hmm. I think that those of us that are different can feel. Yeah. Maybe in a different way than, quote unquote, I hate to say normal because nobody's normal. People I usually, without different physical abilities would feel things.
And what the word I've inserted is typical when I, try to kind of explain that. Yeah.
What do you say though? Like ambulatory typical? I don't know.
I just say typical. Let them figure out the rest.
Okay. Anywho,
I'm not the most politically correct guy, and and I feel like I'm going to get in trouble if I say the wrong things. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm like, wow, I never have to describe it. You just see me, and I'm an explanation, I guess.
So let me ask you, this is a story about a young lady who has CP, cerebral palsy. And so how did you relate being, being soulmates in that way.
Right. Well, first of all, let's just start off by saying, no, we don't know each other.
Okay,
because
good.
You know how people always say, oh, my friend has that too. Do you know her? Nope. I don't know her.
Sorry.
I'm lucky because I do have the ability to communicate and express myself. So the story for me was more about being trapped by that.
Yes.
Not about like her physical difference. Because when I was young and went to physical therapy, there was a young girl who actually got CP through drowning. And her like cast off of the accident in which they rolled over into a drainage pipe was that she had CP. And so she couldn't speak. And it kind of threw me back to that time, like when you'd want to try and figure out what she wanted or needed or whatever. And she could not like get there with you.
Yeah.
And like wanting to read her eyes so badly to be like, what do you need? We're playing the game of charades. So to try and figure out what she wanted.
Maybe we could have a little education moment. What actually causes cerebral palsy?
So cerebral palsy primarily is caused by lack of oxygen to the brain. Okay. So we all look different because wherever it hits you is what it affects. So like for me, and there's two types, I have spastic cerebral palsy. So it's like my muscle is constantly in a spasm. Like I'm constantly running. It's constantly firing. I don't feel it all the time because it's always doing it and I don't know any different. But I think if I like inserted it into your body and you didn't normally feel it, you'd be like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
Or there's atactic, which looks more like a Parkinson's and can be in your vocal cords and things. It's got more of a shake. I'm not sure what part of the brain that has to affect to appear like that, but those are the two types. And so like for me, it's in the left frontal lobe of me. So it's all my right side. But so I have like depth perception. It's a little bit in my speech. I have like a lisp. And then like, so that's why driving, I can't drive because I can't tell the distance between my car and the car in front of me.
Oh, okay. So it's more than, because you've said you're kind of afraid to drive. And I thought it was maybe more about control issues, but. Yeah,
it's also control issues because, I mean, if I go into a spasm and I'm driving and I hit gas instead of brake, holy crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
We probably should all say thank you.
Yes.
For making that choice.
I mean, my public service to you all. But, yeah, so it's different for everybody. So, I mean, it can be in your vocal area, which is probably this young lady where she can't really talk. She can cognate. She's totally smart. But the process of getting it from her brain to her mouth and out into the world is affected.
Now, is that fairly usual? Is that typical, let's say?
It's hard to say the royal we because, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of us. But most of us have some sort of speech impediment because if you're like the spasticity can be in your vocal cords or like the coordination because it's all processing too. So it depends on what it is. Like, so for me, it's a lisp, but it's in my tongue and like keeping my tongue back. It's not in the actual speaking. Yeah.
So, but does it affect some and others not? The cognitive part though?
Yes.
Yeah.
It all depends where it hits and how like severe it is.
Okay.
And I've had like surgeries over time to like reduce what you see when you see me. Because I've had a dorsal rhizotomy. So they kind of went in and cut all the nerves trying to shut down the spasticity and then turned it all back on and I had to learn to walk again and stuff. So I would present much differently if I didn't have that surgery as well. Yeah. Yeah. So it's all a crapshoot of like, what would I look like?
Right. Right.
I was the first female to have the dorsal rhizotomy in 1991 at UCI. And another kid that went to physical therapy with me was one of the first males on a live patient because obviously they practiced. And he and I both look way different. Like he drives, he did ski patrol, he was on mounted like search and rescue. His family did all that stuff and they made him do it along with them. So we like if you see the two of us, we both have CP, but we look so different. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so back to the movie. Exposition.
So she in the movie, she's nonverbal isn't the. I guess is it the term I would use because she could vocalize some things, but if she can't cognate like actual words. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, she's pretty much non-vocal for the
for the standpoint of the movie. Like she obviously has cognition to create her thoughts.
Right.
She just can't push them out her vocal system. But it's clear throughout the movie that she's thinking and thinking through and participating in what's going on.
Yeah. And I missed it at the beginning of the movie. I think in the very early dialogue with the actress that is playing her voice, in that off-screen narration, they give the year, and I was kind of listening to some other interviews after I watched the movie, so I figured it out. But from watching the movie, you can tell that's not happening today.
Oh, for sure.
Right, yeah.
For sure.
But I wasn't 100% sure. I was kind of looking at the fashion cues and different things, and there wasn't anything glaring to me. But I knew it. I could just tell by the way events were unfolding,
Right. Well, and you look as she gets her device, like the technology in the device, how it would be different now.
Right.
Versus how it was then.
Yeah. And in listening to, the different interactions, she is in a special needs class up until, what is she? She's going into 6th grade. So up until 5th grade, she's been in the same class, same students, same teachers, and I got to confess, and hopefully I can get through this whole interview without making a fool of myself. But I don't know why. I had to take a break after 30 minutes. I don't know what, something was touching me on some level.
Something triggered.
Oh, man, I was just like weeping, for some reason. And I can't really, there wasn't like obvious things that I could relate to. I've always been able to.
I think there was. It's a life experience that's underestimated.
Yeah. No.
And so you're probably mourning for yourself and her and like how it's illustrated, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, just kind of, it touched some places in me that I knew I was fortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the thing too. I mean, the whole time you're like rooting for her and her. So I also think it's really interesting because they juxtapose the parents. There's like the protective one that wants her really to not do nothing, but like wants to bubble wrap her to keep her safe. And I totally get that.
Yeah.
And then you have the other parent who's totally like, no, she's brilliant. Like we have to let her do this. So I think it was fascinating because I think in many of our households, that is it. There's always one on one fence and one on the other fence, and who wins on the fence. Yeah. And like, how does your spirit decide the tiebreaker, right? Like, I don't know how to explain that, but like, she made her way too. She made her way.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought they did a masterful job, which this is based on a book by Sharon Draper that was out in 2011, I want to say. And, so I'm sure they took a lot of their cues from that book, and is what they wanted to accomplish, I think. But it's a great script in that they kind of danced around some of those things without making it, predictable and kind of, what's the words? It's kind of syrupy and.
Yeah, like, what is it called? Is it called patronizing?
Yeah, patronizing, two-dimensional.
Is that what it is? Yeah, like where it would have been like very like, oh, this is a super predictable story, or like just another pat you on your head.
Yes.
They avoided that.
Yeah,
like they actually told a well-rounded story where it wasn't just.
But there was a couple of times when I'm like thinking they're going to go down that path, because they were clearly the educators when the parents were in a meeting with them. The educators were a little two-dimensional but in the context of the time, it made more sense. But they were just going to keep her in that little box, and there a lot of conversation about how she would disrupt mainstream classes, and that's what kind of the battle was.
Maybe, and I can't speak for you, but that might have been sort of what like touched you too, because I felt some of that of like. What not secret conversations, but what conversations do go behind our backs, because kids are overt. They talk about you in front of you. They don't care. But what are the adults saying, and like how is that affecting your life?
Yeah. The only thing I know, and And these are the kinds of things you get to this point in your life, and you want to ask your parents, and they're gone now. For me at least, and so I can't ask, but I would love to know what the conversation was like. Because I went mainstream 20 years at least before this movie happened. Not before it was made, but before it happened. It was taking place in 2002. Mm-hmm. God, no more like 35 years. 35 years. Because I went to the first mainstream grade I went to was 5th grade. So you have a big parallel to the girl. Yeah, so I was in the same class with the same kids until I was in 4th grade. Then I went off. So I don't know anything about that conversation. Was it my parents saying, we want, to have them have higher expectations or challenge them more, whatever it was? Or I know there was a conversation with our doctor. We had our orthopedic surgeon that they were in conversations with. To either, because I don't know the whole conversation, I don't know if it was my parents' desire and they talked with the surgeon and the surgeon helped them advocate to get this done, or did the surgeon start the conversation? I don't know if he came to my parents and said, "There's no reason why these kids," and I say these kids because of my brother and I, so my brother went a year before me. Okay. So of course, just much easier for me when I went to school, and because he had already been there, so, and I had somebody I could kind of lean on that was there, and there's stories out of that, but the thing is, and now even thinking about it and looking back on it, I have no real strong memories of fear, being apprehensive. I'm sure it was, but nothing that scarred me. I don't have any specific stories. No, none about, like in the movie, they depict her having difficulties, forming some friendship, but but really just a little roadblock, nothing huge, I don't think. You know what? I think you're always going to have jerks. Yes, absolutely. Normal or not. So, I mean, she did have roadblocks and whatever, but that one little girl, I love her. I want to squeeze her. But I mean, it's like, everybody has a hard time adjusting and being accepted, like whether it's going to 1st grade, going to 2nd grade. Like I haven't thought, being a former teacher, I haven't ever seen a time where a child didn't struggle to enter a grade or a class or a project, normal or not. Yes. Yeah. Typical or not. It's the natural human experience to just freak out. Yeah. And they didn't play that up, other than just that there was some roadblocks. She overcame those, and that allowed her, in the story, strength and will and courage, if I can use those words. Right. Yeah. So, but that, and again, that's, you can make that point about anybody that's typical as well. Yeah. You can be a wallflower and not face your fears, or you can face your fears, and she did, to keep trying to connect with people. Yeah. I think we just, we've talked about this before. It's like maybe just we are giving them extra kick in the butt. Mm-hmm. Like we don't have a choice because we stick out already. Yeah. And let me take the opportunity here because I want to say this in this conversation. And we used to say it a number of times in quite a bit of the earlier episodes of Walk and Roll Live. But, I always want to let people know these are our opinions. We're for sure. Nothing beyond just the life experience and sharing you the stories, what were our stories, not necessarily that we're saying this is the way it should be or this is the way it is or anything. Yeah. We're not making that point. And I am very aware, acutely aware of, the privilege I have as when I was walking on crutches. It's a whole different thing. And I've learned that being in a wheelchair, I can tell you. It's a different experience. You wouldn't think it would be. I didn't think it would be. I scoffed at my brother when he told me that, things are going to happen when you're in the wheelchair that never happened to you before. And I'm like, well, I'm, either way, visually I'm disabled. Why would people treat me differently? Yeah. Well, they do. Yeah. Well, yeah. But I think that's one of the beautiful things, all that disclaimer said, that's one of the beautiful things about having this show is because like I've told you before, coming and joining as co-host,
I've met so many people with so many different abilities and so many life experiences that I would never meet just because it's not my life experience. Like, not to say I'm a hermit. I'm not a hermit, but not driving and like working from home, you have a lot of opportunity to stay home and you get very comfortable with yourself and your space and whatever. And so throwing myself out there, which you're really good at because you go to all the things. It's been really nice and really beautiful to meet different people and hear different experiences. And I love that about life, you know, different or not. Yeah. Like, people fascinate me. And I think that's what's the whole point of this.
Well, it just in case I haven't shared this before, which I probably have at some point, but I'll tell it again. This isn't me in my natural state necessarily. You know what I mean? I mean, it is now because, you know, because I chose. I mean, I don't know. Now I'm at this point in my life and I'm reflecting back and about, you know, the choices I made and the twists and turns my life took and all of that. But here I was, a guy in school, talking about in school, that there were times when I would be prepared for an oral report about whatever we were, whether it was a book we read or some, you know, some assignment in class. And it would get to that moment where it was my turn and I would just say, I'm not prepared. I'd lie, said I'm not prepared because I was too afraid to get up in the class. Yeah. I took the F. So when I decided to get into radio, I'm like, what am I thinking? So the only, I mean, I only had one strategy, and that's when people learned that this is what I was going to do, and I was going to broadcast workshop. They would ask me to do things. You know, I had a friend that was having a big music festival. Hey, do you mind coming and making announcements? And I would say yes, but purposely would say yes before I would even think about it. I would just say yes. Yeah. And then from that moment, let's say that event is 3 months down the road. Yeah. From that moment till the day I did it, I was terrified, scared out of my wits. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Couldn't sleep at night thinking about it, you know, all of that. Yeah. And, you know, and so, and that, and then that happened for everything I would agree to do, you know, but I started to shorten that time over the years. You know, if I said yes 3 months out, you know, I wouldn't start worrying about it until 2 months out.
Or aversion therapy or something.
Aversion therapy. I mean, I had never learned it.
You're doing your
just
own.
Came up with it on my
own. Your own version.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, then I got to the point where I'm comfortable with it. I got to the point where, because I know most people are deathly ill, or afraid of doing this, getting up in front of a room of people. Yeah. So then I started to feel like, you know, I'm doing something that people would rather die almost than do.
Oh,
you know?
For sure.
So you start feeling pretty.
Tightrope walk for a million people.
It gives you confidence,
Yeah. I mean, you should be proud. But it is very interesting, like when you think, like, why did I end up where I sit? Yeah. Just, like you say, I think we age and we like start to like inventory things. And say like, well, how did that happen? Well, how did that happen? Yeah. I mean, I find myself doing that too. I'm not quite where you are, but I'm at a spot where I definitely am like, how did that come to be?
And I say all that to say that, you know, through my school career, you know, I mean, I made friends. You know, I have friends that I still have all these years later that I made in elementary school. Hi, Judy. You know, it's.
Hi, Judy. Hi, Libby.
So, I mean, it's definitely possible, you know, and everybody around you isn't what sometimes they're depicted in movies. But that's what I liked about this one, that, there was some awkwardness and there were some people that didn't take to it. But that, like you pointed out, that's part of life. And she didn't. I loved it. She didn't shy away. I mean, it wasn't fun. I could tell it wasn't fun for her.
Oh, for sure.
But she didn't give up. Yeah.
Honestly, though, like the interesting thing about this story is this could be a story shown to anybody about life. Mm-hmm. And like if kids are afraid of school or making friends, like you wouldn't have to say, we're going to watch this story about a disabled girl. You could say, we're going to watch the story about a girl that gets through some stuff. It's a side note. It's like how we're so much more than being disabled. It's a side note how we get around.
Life lessons,
so much more.
Yeah, that's all it is.
I feel like it's I don't know. It was good at showing it can become a side note. If given the proper channels, it can become a side note.
And a powerful one. One, right? So, I kind of went on the internet and was looking for interviews. So maybe we could learn a little bit about the actors that play these parts. And I did find something with Good Morning America that they were on. And Phoebe Ray Taylor is the actress that plays Melody, the gal in the movie, the star of the movie. And so they asked her, what do you hope people get out of this movie?
Right, so this is such an important story for everyone to watch. I just want people all around the world to see that kids, adults with all different types of disabilities are exactly the same. Even though we may look and sound different, we are exactly the same as you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though we look and sound different, we're all the same.
Yeah. We all bleed red.
Here I go.
Don't do it.
There we go. All right. So her mother was played by Rosemarie DeWitt, and they asked her what drew her to this film.
I mean, so many. I think, as people, we just ask questions. We never wait for the answers, and we're missing out on so much of life that we don't slow down. I thought I was taking this role on to be sort of like a mom advocate, and I realized it was more about listening to our children and learning from them. And you can't bubble wrap the world. Sometimes they're the ones that know what the journey is, and we're just here to sort of be the walls of the pool, right, and let them swim. And this is the most gorgeous, brave, vulnerable actor that I've ever worked with.
Very nice.
No, it's super nice, because if you think about it, like when we're children, we're untainted by all the opinions of the world.
Yep.
We don't have prejudices, at least in my opinion.
Yep.
We don't have prejudices. We haven't yet been tainted by the mean things in the world or the dark thoughts or whatever. So a child is like a fresh canvas.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, she said it so well, And also, this is another clip I found that I thought, and this is Rosemarie again. And she was kind of talking about the script for the movie and that kind of thing. So let me share that one with you.
I thought the script was beautiful on the page. I was a fan of Amber's work and of Luke's work. I didn't know that we were going to be launching a film star with this movie. I didn't know Phoebe yet. So for me, it's always the people and the material. And I loved the way the script handled the material. There was nothing saccharine or sentimental about the story. It felt like a real human being's journey with nuance and artistry. That's why I jumped in.
Right? Yeah, that's I think what I was trying to say earlier. What she said so well there is that it wasn't two-dimensional. It was three-dimensional. It wasn't sugary, like she said. I guess one of the biggest issues I think I had with any of it was, because I loved it all. Very good, very good, very good. I don't want to take away from that, but just the teacher, I thought was just that. And this is my notes on it, if you will, is that for a guy that was obviously so in tune and was such a great teacher, you could tell really engaging her students. So somebody like that tends to be a little bit more sensitive. For her to come into the class and him be so 180 with her, and tone deaf to her, I'm not saying that they should have made him less, because they needed that. They needed that device in the movie to move the story forward. Just from that.
However, that really could have been a thing, because there are some people that see. I saw him acting that way out of fear. Mm-hmm. I didn't see him acting that way out of like, oh, I'm going to 180 on this kid. It was like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah.
Hot potato. And he didn't know what to do. And he was so undereducated about her true smarts that he missed the boat. And for me, that was it. It was purely fear and missing the boat.
You're being generous and saying you missed the boat. Woo! Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to. We can't say it on TV or radio what I really thought, but
Yeah, but it worked out well.
But I mean, there are people that way. We've talked about this before when we talked about like the like interviewing for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about going to interviews and like I'd have not the perfect resume, but like a really good resume for that would get me a job here.
Yeah.
With people that kind of knew me or different things. And then that where it's like, no, you called me because you read my resume and now I show up and
you could tell the excitement is at a different level, right?
It was that experience, right? Like if he had just known of her smarts and said like, hey, we have this brilliant kid. And he hadn't met her, that was the whoa moment for him. And a lot of time people react out of fear and it still makes them a butthole. But
even still, when he discovered her brilliance, he still was pushing back quite a bit.
Oh, I know. I wanted to punch him in the face, but we can't do that on public property.
But it brought us to that great moment at the end, Yeah. So Mom in the movie, I forget her name, but would you like to tell us her great line? Was it? Oh no, it was from the neighbor.
It's the next door neighbor.
The neighbor. Yes.
You tell the line. It's the next door neighbor that I love, and I hope that everybody has this neighbor, no matter who you are and what your life takes you. We all need this one neighbor. So Doug, you say the line. My mom listens, and she'll be mad at me.
And I wish I came to this years and decades ago, but when she was telling Phoebe, or the Melody in the name of the character, is that you go through life and you're going to always have to rely on other people. But she says just because they wipe your ass doesn't mean you have to kiss theirs.
Right.
It's like, wow.
Well, and I think it's because in that moment she wanted something and nobody was listening. So she was pushing her board saying, no, stop. And so the neighbor brought her away from everybody and said, come here. Yeah. And then told her that. And I was like clapping in my living room because everybody needs that person to remind them that they're not less. And like you make choices for yourself.
Yeah. You feel that way, but it's nice to give you that extra little push that validates it, and somebody else sees it as well.
Well, it was also very interesting because I actually got in a conversation with my husband after the movie based on that line about like how being disabled and like not driving. For me, not driving obviously impacts a lot. Well, now, as you and I have discussed in many ways, Instacart, even if they bring you way too much chicken, they help you get your groceries. They help you, whatever. There's Lyft and Uber. But when I was younger, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So you do have to coordinate, like, how do I make things happen for myself? And it creates this really interesting, weird dynamic with friends sometimes or relationship partners, because it's like a parent-child thing. It's like, can we go to the store at some point because I need this and I don't have a way to get it?
Yeah. Plus, I think, and I've thought about this, for so long, you posture like you don't need anybody. You can do everything.
Yeah.
And, your friends, they go right along with that. They believe you when you, and I don't.
When you've tout it many times.
Yeah. And it's not even almost, I don't think it's a conscious decision. You're just going about your life trying to be as independent as possible.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. But then when you truly need help, there's times when I've asked for help and just got a flat no.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they just, it's dispassionate. It wasn't like, no, you can do it. They're not trying to, teach me a lesson or anything.
Right.
I really needed their help. And whatever they had going on, they just didn't have the time to do that or whatever it was. And they just said no. And then it's very difficult for us to then say, no, I need your help. I can't do this without your help.
I think it's really interesting because it does create that like child-parent dynamic that you can never grow out of. Because when you're a young person, you're like, oh, when I get my license, I'm going to do all this stuff. Well, for me, that moment never came. That wish was always there, but that moment has yet to come, right? So I continue to think, oh, if I had a license or if I had a car that could drive me or whatever, that still exists for me at 45 because I haven't escaped that kind of dynamic. I mean, like I say, Uber and Lyft has eased it.
Mm-hmm.
But from personal experience, I can say there were definitely like romantic relationships or things that I stayed in too long because I wasn't sure how I was going to negotiate the world without an assistance.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So it does have a ripple effect. And I think thinking about that, like, as much as you feel emotional about the movie, those things make me emotional because how free are you? Like in spirit and free in body are two different things.
Two different things. Yeah. So, what was your take on them getting through the line early to get into the store?
I mean, we always joke that like if the universe is going to make you different, it gives you two things: a handicap sticker in front of the line at Disneyland. So it felt kind of like those moments, and now that Disneyland has become much more ADA, I've lost that privilege, and I feel quite sad about it. Disneyland.
Yeah, I know. Well, now that they made
it reminded me of that. It was a harken back to that, right? Like sometimes you get thrown a bone. And the fact that everybody in the line was saying, just let him go, just let him go. I'm like, that never happens.
That never happens. No.
Everybody gives you the stink eye, and when they see you later, they still give you the stink eye.
Exactly. I know in sixth grade, I don't know if this is just every sixth grade is on the curriculum in California at least, but you go to a camp and it's like you're there for a week and they're taking you into the woods to learn about nature.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go do that?
Yeah. Yosemite.
So, wow. We went into the hills above Santa Barbara. So we go to this little camp. Well, they're going, up hills and all over the place. And there was this camp counselor, and he just would put me on his shoulders. Yeah. And walk, and I'd go everywhere. I mean, it got to the point by the end of the week, I was like a part of him. I just had my balance down. I can remember one time looking back, talking to somebody, and I turned around and he was walking under a building, and there was an eave there, and I had to literally practically just throw myself sideways. Or get conked in the head and get knocked off of him probably. Yeah. And I had to do that in a split second, and it was nothing. I stayed there, but the kids, why does he get to ride around? And then so at the end of the week, we hiked over to camp or Cachuma Lake, if you know where that is, in the hills above Santa Barbara. And and they put me on the back of a motorcycle, and oh man, stink eye. Yeah, why does he get to ride the motor? Yeah, no, they didn't hide their feelings at all.
Yeah. I was lucky though, because my best friend Libby and some other people in school, Libby would always do the piggybacks. She was the piggyback queen for me. So if I can't get somewhere, I mean, I'm a little heavier now, but we could still do it if necessary.
Yeah.
But I was really lucky to have a friend that was like, I got her. So I was still in the crowd and not fully special, but it wasn't on my own power.
And you could ask my friends now. I'm because they will say, why don't we just, and not how do I put it? At least it doesn't feel to me like they're taking advantage of me. It's like they truly are concerned for me. Why don't we, kind of let them know that we want to get ahead or whatever, and I can't even think of some specific situations right now, but they'll tell you, I'm no, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm seated comfortably. I can wait my turn.
Yeah. And part of it, and I'm not saying I'm above it because there are times when I've used it, but I like to use it when it's, when it's best serves me, and I use it sparingly. Yeah. So I'm only going to use it in very, very specific circumstances. Years ago, I went to a concert at the Santa Barbara County Bowl. And this is back in, I don't think they do this kind of thing anymore, but they used to have what they call festival seating. So, so everybody bought a ticket. On the lawn? Everywhere. The entire venue is you buy a ticket, you don't have a seat. Okay. So they keep everybody at the gate until a specific time, and then they let everybody go, and it's a rush, to your seats. So, and the added thing at Santa Barbara County Bowl is you're at the bottom of a hill, and the bowl is up at the top of a hill.
Right.
And there's this winding path that goes up to the top of the hill. So you're going, and it, pretty steep. So, I just gave it a shot, went up to the security guy and said, guys, I'm going to get killed when you open this up and I try to, get up this hill with this mob going up there. And they're like, okay, well, just come back, we'll give you like a 10-minute, 15-minute head start before we're going to go up.
Yeah, but see, that makes sense. Like mosh pit, mob kill, or.
So I go up and I get up there ahead of everybody, take front row center in the lawn, because there's a little lawn area just in front of the stage before the seats start. And I spread my crutches out to either side. So I've got enough seats for all my friends.
No, they loved you for that.
Yeah. Forever and did it. So, I'm not above using it sometimes either.
Right.
So anything else about this that you wanted to explore?
That I can think of. I mean, I love that movie. It was a really cute movie.
Yeah. Definitely highly recommend it.
It was heartwarming for not having violence, not having swear words, not having all the stuff that's like shoot 'em up, kill.
Yeah. So
anyway,
we won't give them the end. It's probably fairly predictable, but it's done really, really well. And
I think it's cool.
So it's out now on Disney Plus. Say again, I'm sorry.
It is. Yeah, no, I think it's really good. And I think it also would be a really good teaching tool if you have younger kids to watch and talk about just being a friend to everybody. And you could use it for different things.
Yeah. Not even
trying
specifically.
Your best. Not that specifically, but I mean, trying your best, whatever.
See somebody new that's coming to school,
friends.
reach out.
Be nice exactly. If they're new, be the friend that says you want to eat with us,
And if somebody else is being a jerk, say something.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. Yeah. All right. Let's take a break. And then we'll be back and kind of wrap up, see if there's any events coming up that we're excited about, that kind of thing. We'll be back right after this.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people loving with a disability.
Came out of my shower. I slid on a puddle of water and flew up. I don't know, my legs went up higher than my head, landed on the beam of the shower, lost all sensation in my legs. Within like a second, I knew I was paralyzed without knowing I was paralyzed.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
This is Walk and Roll Live with Doug, Vincent, and Addie Rich. This is Walk and Roll Live with Doug, Vincent, and Addie Rich.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed hearing us talk to ourselves, and hopefully to you too. But as always, it's fun to hang out with Doug.
Yeah. I appreciate, people listening. I love it. I kind of alluded to it a little bit in the opening that I've started to put in a few weeks ago. Just that we're dedicated to giving a voice to our community, and it's kind of in the last week or so, it's touched me in a number of ways as I've had some conversations with some past guests and some people that have listened and that kind of thing. There was one, and I won't mention their name because I didn't let them know I was going to do this, and they probably would be all right with it if I did say something. But one of the guests on the show said that this is the only place she's told her story.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised. And a number of people, in a fairly tight group of hers did not know that, her story of how she was injured. And
well, we are privileged and we appreciate you.
Yeah, that humbled me. And then also another guest on the show, after telling her story, reconnected with an old friend from years ago who has gone through something, similar and similarly as devastating. And now they're back in touch with each other and staying in touch. And,
that's so nice.
And hopefully she can help her friend kind of navigate this, very difficult time in her life. And then also on a lighter note, there was a couple that kind of use it as a date night on Tuesday night when it comes out. And they sit and they listen to the episode. So
hope your date is great.
Yeah. And I love to hear, if you have stories like that, we'd definitely love to hear them. What you got coming up this week? Anything?
Thanksgiving. Cooking.
Thanksgiving. That's right.
And a short work week, which I did not realize was so short.
That's a nice surprise.
Ecstatic. It was a very nice surprise. I thought I was just off Thursday, and then a coworker said, no, we're off Friday too. And pulled up the calendar and said, see? And I went, wow.
I think that makes sense for companies. I mean, how productive do you think the Friday after Thanksgiving is?
Well, especially a lot of people do travel to be with some friends or family. So like trying to eat dinner and then hustle, is not, that just sucks so much joy right out of there.
It's definitely an inconvenient day for, if you're work, so I'm sure a lot of people take it off. I know it was always a lot of times a floating holiday. We'd have a floating holiday.
Yeah.
But they would put it on that Friday. So it wasn't really Friday, floating if that's where you're going to use it. But anyway, good.
It's a predictable float, I guess.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys have a nice Thanksgiving. I'm sure I'm going to eat too much, watch a lot of football, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What about you?
That's it. Just, like I say, going to my friends for Thanksgiving. At the pantry, we're doing the whole.
Are you handing out turkeys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Turkeys, hams.
Oh, how cool is that?
All the fixings.
Is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. Because we normally do it on Thursday, but we're doing it tomorrow. So, of course, I have it in time for Thanksgiving.
Right. Here, we're going to give it to you in the morning. Now you need to cook this thing for 10 hours. Yeah. No.
Yeah. And there's, right down to, I think we're doing pies and,
Oh, wow. You're doing the whole shebang. Come pick up all your food.
Exactly. So probably for like 60 families, something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so great when we live in a world that it's hard to make it nowadays. It's really nice to know there are organizations that are helping people connect the dots.
Yeah, it feels good, especially for Thanksgiving, it's for veterans, and definitely want to show our thanks to them in any way we can do that. And they're such great people. So many times when we go out there and we're giving out, we give milk and eggs every week.
Okay.
And then it's just, what we've been able to kind of procure, in the last week or two before, and it's generally a theme. Like we'll do like a barbecue theme. So we got all the condiments and buns and hamburger patties, or we'll have a breakfast or a lunch or a, whatever theme kind of a deal. And so many times, the folks that come by and their families, they'll say, no, I got plenty of that. I don't need that. There's a lot of people that just, in my career in radio, the people that came out, I hesitate to say this, but this is just the way it was. When we would have live broadcasts and give away stuff, the worst in people came out. And I saw that for years and years and years. Yeah. So I was kind of triggered when I went, because the feeling of the situation is very much the same as when we would go do a live broadcast. And, so it's us putting out a table, putting up an easy up, putting all the stuff on it. And so I was ready for, dealing with the people that were not really grateful for what they were getting, for free.
Right. They're entitled.
And almost to a person. There's one or two knuckleheads, and I have fun with them. But everybody else is, they say thank you. It's not awkward. That's another great thing. If anything, I feel like many times I'm getting more out of it than they are, believe it or not.
Oh, for sure.
So
for more than one Thanksgiving, I would do the homeless shelter for Thanksgiving. So we would go and prepare and then do the meal. They normally serve it around lunchtime and then come home and do whatever I got to do. We'll eat later so that we can do that. And I mean, it's some of the best experiences I've had. With Hosea Williams Feeds the Hungry, I don't know. That's so bad to say, but I haven't followed it as much now. But they used to do where they'd have doctors and barbers and a clothing closet. Like you could get everything. So they would do it at the Braves Stadium, and you could kind of go all the way through and get services all the way kind of around. And I was always amazed at the people that'd be like, if I don't take my juice, can you give it to that guy or whatever? You know what I mean? They were paying it forward in a situation in which they might not have had that for a long minute, and they're like, no, let them have it because they have kids and I don't need it. And
right. Yeah. That's what I love about it. And it is bittersweet, but of course this is kind of a helping hand for them to not only the the food pantry is just a little bonus, but it's a veterans village, so they get the apartment at a reduced rate to kind of help them, and it's a transitional kind of thing for a lot of them. So they're just getting back on their feet. They get their life together, and they move on. You've made a friend, but then they move on. But it's a good thing because that means that they're getting back on their feet and getting back into the life, and
they're riding the wave.
Yeah. So that's what it's for. So, and I'm thankful to be able to do it. All right, let's head out of here. Next week, we're going to talk with Jose Pena from Disability Rights California. It's a legal group in California that helps, if you have issues with ADA, that kind of thing. But his job is to help businesses kind of create a friendly environment in the workplace for people with, disabilities.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll kind of hopefully give you some tips on how you can create that for your business or what to look for, maybe if you're looking for a job, and the kinds of things that, you should be able to expect, that kind of thing. So we'll get into that conversation with him. All right, so we'll see you next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for listening.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I am your host, Doug Vincent, with Addie Rich from the Agar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories, Life Limitless.
Walk and roll life. Life's the best. Walk and roll life. Life limitless.
It's a disabled life, rolling alone, leaving my struggles behind, feeling strong. The road ain't easy, but that's just fine, 'cause I'm living my truth, walking my own life. Life is full of joy, I wouldn't change a thing. Overcoming what life hands me, hear me sing. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. It's a disabled life, and I'm breaking through. Every twist and turn, it helps me grow. I rise above the limits the world wants to show. With wheels on the ground or crutches in hand, I move through the world like a one-person band. Life is full of joy, I wouldn't change a thing. Overcoming what life hands me, hear me sing. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. It's a disabled life, and I'm breaking through. Strength in every push, courage in my heart. Every single day's a brand new start. I'm rolling forward, leaving fear behind. In this disabled life, I shine, I shine. Life is full of joy, I wouldn't change a thing. Overcoming what life hands me, hear me sing. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. It's a disabled life, and I'm breaking through. Yeah, it's a disabled life, and I'm rolling free. Every challenge is a part of me. Stronger with each step, brighter every day. In this disabled life, I'll find my way.